I want you to run a forensic audit on the exact value of your entire life. Let's do the brutal, unignorable math of the traditional cultural script. You graduate from college. You get a safe corporate job. You work 40 hours a week, for 50 weeks a year, for 40 solid years of your natural life. That is 80,000 hours. 80,000 hours of your youth, your energy, and your absolute best years, traded directly to a massive corporation in exchange for a depreciating paper currency. And at the end of those 80,000 hours, what do you actually have to show for it? A modest house that the bank technically owned for 30 years, a retirement account that is terrified of inflation, and a deeply sinking realization that you played by all the rules, but you still lost the game. Meanwhile, you scroll through the internet, and you see 25-year-olds who have never worked in a cubicle, generating millions of dollars a month in pure profit. From a laptop, you look at the billionaires, the tech founders, the digital creators, and it makes you angry. You assume the system is rigged. You assume they got incredibly lucky. Or they were born into generational wealth. Or they cheated. But what if I told you you were completely wrong? What if I told you that wealth is not a lottery ticket? It is a strict mathematical equation, a precise science of capital that the school system intentionally hid from you. My name is Manuel, and I spend my life dismantling the invisible traps that keep the working class broke. Today, we are running a forensic audit on the untold truth about money. We are going to destroy the lies you were taught about hard work, and I am going to hand you the exact asymmetric blueprint to build generational wealth from absolute nothing. If you are ready to completely rewire how your brain perceives money, hit subscribe, because today we are pulling the matrix apart. Let's start by destroying the biggest, most toxic lie society ever told you. If you just work hard, you will become wealthy. We have all heard it. But let's run the forensic math. If hard work actually equaled wealth, then bricklayers, roofers, and overnight janitors would be the absolute richest people on the planet. They physically destroy their bodies working 12-hour shifts, but they are barely surviving. While an entirely remote software engineer, sitting in an air-conditioned room typing on a keyboard for 4 hours a day, makes 5 times their salary. Why? Is the system just inherently evil? No. The system operates on a cold, emotionless law of economics. In a capitalist society, you are not paid in proportion to how hard you sweat. You are paid in direct proportion to your perceived value to the market. And more importantly, you are paid based on how difficult you are to replace. The overnight janitor is working incredibly hard, but the brutal economic truth is that the market can replace him by tomorrow morning, with 1,000 other people willing to do the exact same physical labor for the exact same minimum wage. His replaceability is incredibly high. Therefore, his market value is incredibly low. The software engineer, he possesses a rare, highly complex skill that generates millions of dollars in leverage for his employer. It would take the company 6 months and $100,000 to find someone who can write code exactly like him. His replaceability is incredibly low. Therefore, his market value is incredibly high. If you want to stop being broke, you have to stop focusing on how hard you are working and start focusing entirely on how difficult you are to replace. But even if you become a highly paid software engineer, or a specialized doctor, or a corporate lawyer, you are still trapped in a two-dimensional equation. Money equals salary, multiplied by time. As long as your income is directly tied to the hours on a clock, you will never, ever be truly wealthy. Because time is the one resource you cannot print, borrow, or steal. You only have 24 hours in a day. Your income has a mathematical ceiling. So, how do the self-made millionaires actually do it? How do they accumulate 50 lifetimes worth of wealth in just 5 years? They use a completely different equation. Pay very close attention right now, because this is the exact moment your financial trajectory changes forever. Stop chasing money. If you are chasing money, you are doing it completely wrong. Money is not a real thing. It is just a shadow. It is a receipt. Money is simply a massive transfer of value that occurs when a specific problem is solved. All of the wealth in the entire global economy runs on this one basic premise. Find a painful problem and solve it. If you solve a $10 problem for your neighbor, you will make $10. But if you solve a billion-dollar problem for millions of people across the globe, you will become a billionaire. Think about Amazon. What did Jeff Bezos actually do? He didn't just make a website. He solved massive, painful human problems. The extreme hassle of driving to a crowded store, the frustration of carrying heavy boxes, the agonizing wait for shipping. He solved a massive problem for the entire planet, and the market happily threw billions of dollars at him as a reward. If you want to be wealthy, you must stop looking for a paycheck. You must become a heat-seeking missile. For human frustration, what are people complaining about? What is incredibly inconvenient? What software is too slow? What industry is hopelessly outdated? Find the pain, build the painkiller, and the money will effortlessly follow. Now, I know what your brain is doing. You are sitting there thinking, okay, Manuel, so I just need to solve a problem. I'm really good at fitness. I will become a personal trainer and solve people's health problems. Now I'll be rich. Stop right there, because if you do that, you have just walked directly into the most dangerous trap in entrepreneurship. You didn't build a business. You just built yourself another exhausting job, disguised as a business. Let's say you become an elite yoga instructor. You solve a great problem. You charge an incredible $100 an hour. Congratulations. But how many hours can you physically teach in a single day before your body collapses? Maybe 6? Your income is still violently chained to the clock. You are geographically restricted to the people in your local zip code. You have absolutely no leverage. To build true wealth, the final step of the equation is mandatory. Scale. Your solution must be entirely decoupled from your physical time. If that same yoga instructor takes one weekend to film a pristine, high-quality masterclass on digital yoga and uploads it to the internet for $49, what happens? She created the solution exactly once. But now, the internet allows her to sell that exact same solution to 10,000 people in 30 different countries. While she is fast asleep, there are 0 manufacturing costs, 0 shipping costs, and infinite, unrestricted scale. This is the secret of the elite capital allocators. You must build systems, software, or media assets that duplicate your solution infinitely, without requiring a single extra second of your physical time. If your business cannot make money while your eyes are closed, you do not own a business. You own a highly stressful job. So, you found a massive, painful problem in the market. You built a brilliant, scalable solution, and you removed your physical time from the delivery of the product. You are officially off the hamster wheel, but you are not wealthy yet, because there is one more critical bottleneck in your business equation, and that bottleneck is you. The fatal flaw of the amateur entrepreneur is the absolute obsession with doing everything themselves. They believe they are the best customer service rep, the best accountant, the best marketer, but if you are actively working in your business, you are mathematically unable to work on your business. This is where the elite capital allocators separate themselves from the struggling freelancers. They aggressively implement automation and systems. You must look at your new profitable business and run a ruthless forensic audit on every single moving part. What tasks are highly repetitive? What emails are sent every single day? What data entry is slowing you down? If a task can be done by a piece of software, buy the software immediately. If it requires a human, but not specifically your brain, outsource it to a highly skilled virtual assistant for $20 an hour. Let go of your ego. The market does not care how hard you worked on a logo. The market only cares that the problem is solved efficiently. By aggressively replacing yourself with systems, you transform your business from a chaotic, daily grind into a silent, automated machine. A machine that prints cash. Whether you are sitting at your desk or sitting on a beach. And now, we reach the absolute pinnacle of the wealth equation. You have a scalable, highly automated, problem-solving machine. It is generating $50,000 a month in pure, recurring profit. At this exact moment, you are standing at the ultimate crossroads of financial freedom. You have two incredibly lucrative paths in front of you. Path number one, you keep running the machine. You enjoy the massive monthly cash flow. You use the extra capital to reinvest, buy real estate, or fund a completely stress-free lifestyle. But path number two is the exact moment all of that invisible equity you built explodes into generational wealth. The liquidation event. The acquisition. This is the moment a massive corporation, a private equity firm, or a billionaire investor looks at your perfectly oiled machine and decides they want to own it. They don't just pay you for the money you are making today. They pay you a massive multiple for the money the machine will make over the next 5 years. This is Instagram, being acquired by Facebook for $1 billion. This is PayPal, being sold to eBay for $1.5 billion, dropping $165 million directly into Elon Musk's bank account. This is the massive, silent wave of acquisitions happening every single day, where 20-something founders are selling their obscure software companies or highly profitable e-commerce brands for $5, $10, or $20 million in cash. All of the late nights, all of the brutal, crushing failures, all of the terrifying risks you took to build the system suddenly come to fruition in a single, life-changing wire transfer. You didn't just earn a salary. You built a massive financial asset, and you cashed out. But let's pause the forensic audit for a second. I want to ask you a deeply psychological question. What was it all for? Anyway, let's say you successfully executed the equation. You solved the problem. You built the machine. You sold it for $10 million. For the vast majority of you watching this right now, it was never actually about the money. Money is just a piece of paper, or a glowing green number on a digital screen. Its value is entirely fabricated, backed up only by our collective hallucination that it means something. From the very start, when you first clicked on this video, this was never just about seeing 7 zeros in a bank account, paying off your parents' mortgage, buying that matte black sports car, traveling the world without a budget, never having to look at the price tag on a menu ever again. That is not money. That is freedom. Your destination was never a monetary figure. It was a psychological sensation. The absolute, unshakable ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whomever you want, without ever having to cast a terrifying thought toward, can I actually afford this? Have I used up all my vacation days for the year? How am I going to pay the rent next month? What dreams will I have to permanently sacrifice because I simply cannot afford to pursue them? The most important lesson from this entire documentary is not about the mechanical nature of currency. It is about the one irreplaceable, deeply valuable resource that we all possess, the one resource we will never, ever be able to reclaim. Time is giving up 80,000 hours of your incredibly short life towards a cubicle job you probably hate. Actually worth it? Is your life perfectly settled on working, commuting through traffic, coming home exhausted, watching television, sleeping, waking up the next day, and violently repeating the exact same cycle until your body breaks down and you retire at 65? How many more hours of your finite existence will you let quietly slip through your fingers because of that devastating pattern? Now, perhaps you are entirely fine with that reality. Perhaps you believe you have no other choice but to blindly follow that path for the time being. And if that is the absolute truth, then there is nothing to worry about. The most you got from this deep dive was a little entertainment and maybe a slight change in your economic perspective. But I know there are some of you watching this right now, the ones who deeply understand the other side of the coin, the ones who have a burning, unignorable desire to never need to worry about money ever again. And so, I feel the absolute need to remind you one final time. Stop chasing money, chase painful problems, and engineer the exact scalable solution to those problems. This is the hidden equation through which all massive wealth is found. If you desire total liberty, through never needing to worry about the cost of survival ever again, then let solving massive problems be the meaningful struggle of your life. Does it guarantee you will be happy at the end of the road? Does it mean you will feel completely fulfilled when the wire transfer hits? Only you can answer that deeply personal question. But if your struggle is financially meaningful and it buys back the entirety of your time, then perhaps it is a road worth pursuing. There is your true equation to wealth. Of course, I missed out on a massive amount of intricacies in this video. The topics of high-level business, deep capital allocation, and building true entrepreneurial leverage are far too vast for me to cover in a single high-level documentary like this. But if you do want to completely rewire your brain and get started on this journey, I highly recommend you deeply study the works of M.J. DeMarco, whose mathematical breakdown of wealth heavily inspired the forensic audit we just ran today. And it is also critically important to circle all the way back to the very first terrifying warning I gave you at the start of this video. The brutal truth is, most people watching this right now will not succeed. They will fail for various highly predictable reasons. They will get distracted by a new shiny trend. They will refuse to put in the grueling 6 months of unpaid work required to build the initial system. They will let the fear of what their friends think completely paralyze them from ever starting. But the absolute most important part of this entire equation is failing incredibly fast, learning the exact mathematical reason why the system broke, and violently moving on to the next iteration. You do not need to be right every single time. You only need to be right once, and that one successful, highly scalable solution will completely obliterate every single failure that came before it. 2. Let's be realistic for a second. If you are sitting there right now, doing something that isn't strictly related to building a massive, scalable business, if you are currently working a standard 9-to-5 job, and you desperately want to increase your income, the exact same mathematical rules still apply to you. Stop walking into your boss's office and asking for a raise based on how many hours you sat in your chair. Your boss does not care about your time. Instead, start asking yourself a deeply forensic question. What massive, expensive problems am I actively solving for this corporation right now? If you can identify a massive inefficiency in your department, and you independently build a system that saves the company $50,000 a year, you now possess asymmetric leverage. You have fundamentally increased your perceived value to the market. You have made yourself incredibly difficult to replace. And you can absolutely use that exact leverage to demand a significantly higher salary, whether you are building a billion-dollar tech startup or trying to maximize your corporate paycheck. The exact same rule governs the flow of capital. The people who solve the most painful problems extract the most liquidity from the system. But I will end this deep dive on the exact same aggressive message that I have repeated numerous times throughout this documentary. Stop chasing money. Stop refreshing your bank account, hoping a miracle happened overnight. Stop playing the lottery. Stop buying terrible get-rich-quick crypto coins, hoping someone else is dumber than you. Start chasing massive, painful solutions to massive, painful human problems. Hey, you have officially arrived at the end of the video, and I do want to take a serious moment to say thank you very much for watching this entirely to the end. These deep-dive forensic audits take a massive amount of sleepless nights to thoroughly research, script, film, and perfectly edit. So, you cannot possibly imagine how much I truly appreciate your attention and your support. If you genuinely enjoyed this video, and it completely shifted your perspective on how capital actually moves in the modern economy, Then do not be shy. Hit the like button right now. And if you actively disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be absolutely sure. But I want you to comment down below right now. Let's run a public commitment audit. Look at your own life. What is the absolute biggest, most painful problem you are currently facing that a scalable business could actually solve? Tell me in the comments. And let's see how much money is quietly hiding in your daily frustrations. My absolute goal with this channel has been to create highly entertaining, incredibly aggressive documentary-style videos on modern business, deep finance, and the hidden mechanics of life in general. And if that sounds exactly like something you want to tune in for, hit the subscribe button right now and hit that notification bell to make absolutely sure all of your notifications are turned on. With all of that being said, I sincerely hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. As per usual, my friends, I salute you, outsmart the system, protect your capital, buy your freedom. I am Manuel. I will see you in the next deep dive.